All right, good afternoon. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Welcome to the June Tell Talk on Resource Roundup, Libraries, and Your Early Childhood Program during COVID-19 with our guest speaker today, Jenny Walker-Knut. Before we begin, we'd like to share a few pieces of information with you. Tell Talks, or Topics for Early Learning Leaders, are monthly webinars for early childhood program leaders to facilitate solutions-focused discussions for your questions about the early childhood field in Minnesota. These one-hour webinars do not meet the standards for a formal professional development event, and participants will not receive a certificate of completion. Tell Talks are designed as a community building opportunity for leaders to engage and share ideas surrounding a specific content area. The Tell Talks team consists of Nikki Lepowski and myself. Nikki is the Quality Improvement Coordinator at Child Care Aware of Minnesota. I'm the Workforce Advising Coordinator. We work with Corey Woosley and Katie Hoffman at Child Care Aware to coordinate Tell Talks. Some of our previous topics include Minnesota policy, legislature, and getting ready for the census, and Achieve memberships. In April, we heard from a panel of guest speakers for our topic, Early Childhood Leaders, How Are You Coping? How Can We Help? Last month, our topic was Mental Health for Families and Employees. If you are interested in listening to the recording of any of these webinars, please send us an email. Coming up in July, we'll hear from Katie Hoffman, the Quality Improvement Manager at Child Care Aware of Minnesota, on the topic of the power of interactions, social distancing in early childhood. What is Child Care Aware of Minnesota? We are a resource and referral network for early childhood education in the state. The map on the right side of this slide shows the Child Care Aware of Minnesota districts and regional offices. CCA helps families find a quality childcare program. We also support the professional growth of early childhood educators with professional development opportunities, eager to learn online training, grants, parent aware, scholarships, and trainer and RBPD support. We keep the community informed on the importance of quality childcare. We've added some information to our introduction on childcare information services available through Child Care Aware of Minnesota. CCIS sends a welcome packet with a new provider form to new programs. By completing the form, CCIS will have more information about your program to include on the Parent Aware website. This will assist families who are looking for childcare. And every 3 years, CCIS surveys programs about their business policies and tuition rates. Rates are confidential unless you opt to include them on the Parent Aware website. CCIS uses or can use rates to create county averages, which influence CCAP reimbursement. CCIS receives calls from program leaders with general business questions, Parent Aware questions, or training questions, and CCIS can route you to the appropriate person to contact. The Tell Talks team partners with several organizations to offer coordinated resources surrounding early care and education needs. As always, participants of Tell Talks are able to utilize the chat function in GoToWebinar to ask questions and share thoughts throughout the presentation. So please feel free to share your questions on today's topic, and Nikki and I can read the questions and comments aloud during the broadcast. Now we'll go ahead and hand things over to our guest speaker today, Jenny Walker-Knut, who is the librarian at the Deborah S. Fish Early Childhood Resource Library at Think Small in St. Paul. We're so grateful that Jenny is here with us today to talk about resources available in the library. Again, Jenny's topic is Resource Roundup, Libraries, and Your Early Childhood Program during COVID-19. Without further ado, Jenny, you can take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Christy. So yep, as Chrissy said, my name is Jenny, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the response of public libraries to the pandemic. I'm going to be sharing library resources to support your programs during this time, as well as resources from some library partners. Before I do like a more thorough introduction of myself and my library though, I'm curious to find out what regions everybody is from today. And I think, yeah, oh, we have a little poll that you can take. We were going to do counties, but there's 87 counties in Minnesota. And so, yeah, the poll just seemed like it made more sense. So yeah, feel free to click on that. I myself am from the metro area. I live in Minneapolis, which is Hennepin County, and I work in Ramsey County.
Jenny, this is Christy. I'm seeing lots of responses coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Like some
Awesome.
numbers are still growing here, but it looks like we've got no participants from the Northeast District have answered the poll or are present, but we've got, oh, just kidding. Someone just said that they're from Northeast.
Yay, way to represent.
Like we've got all the regions represented today, 50% in the metro, about 20% from the southern, 10% west central, 10% from northeast, and about 10% from northwest. And I'm just kind of rounding there. So
yeah, that is awesome. Oh, great. I'm glad there are people from all over Minnesota because I'll be talking about all the libraries in Minnesota. So awesome. Thank you. I'm actually not sure how to close out of the poll though. Oh, there we go. Oh, but now my PowerPoint went away.
This is the first time I think that I've seen polls used in GoToWebinar, Jenny. Sorry about that. I'm not sure.
That is no problem. I can open it right back up. It is just here. Research Roundup.
Jenny, I can help. Are you able to pull up your PowerPoint?
Yes, why did it go black? Hold on one moment. Let me. Let's try this. Oh. For some reason, sorry guys, for some reason when I go into present mode, it goes all black. Let me try one more thing.
Christy, you want to just make sure the poll's closed too? I think you did it already, but that might be it.
Yeah, it does say it's closed. Do you want me to try to launch the second poll? Would that be helpful?
Let's see. It's so weird.
Because we were able to see your presentation earlier, Jenny. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, so I'm gonna log out of my Microsoft Office 365 real quick and then see if I log back in. It like kicked when it logged, or when we switched to the poll, it just like kicked the screen to the side, and now I don't seem to be able to find it. Sign in.
So while Jenny is working on getting her PowerPoint presentation on, just want to thank you all for attending today. And as Christy mentioned earlier, if you would like the recordings of any of the previous TEL Talks or are interested in sharing TEL Talks with any of your networks, program leaders, early childhood educators, just contact Christy or I after today's webinar and we'll get you that information.
Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, I'm so sorry. All it took was me logging out and logging back in. I don't know why, but that worked. So cool. I'm glad that there are people from all over Minnesota here today. Before we dive into the presentation, I just wanted to take a moment at the beginning of our time together to acknowledge that from wherever we're coming to this webinar today in Minnesota, we are meeting on the lands of Indigenous people. The Dakota Sioux word for Minneapolis, which is where I'm speaking to you from today, is Bedota Otune, which means many lakes city. The Dakota ceded land that is now Minneapolis and St. Paul in 1805. However, only 2 of the 7 Native leaders that were present at the negotiations even signed the treaty. There are 4 Dakota reservations and 7 Ojibwe reservations in Minnesota. And today, Minneapolis and St. Paul, together they are home to well over 35,000 American Indians, one of the largest and most tribally diverse urban American Indian populations. And then, which just another thing about the local community here, every spring, the Dakota community members walk around Bedé-Makaska, which means White Earth Lake, and it was just recently restored to its original name, Bedé-Makaska, so you may be familiar with it as Lake Calhoun. But every spring they walk around the lake and offer tobacco to acknowledge the land and the beings who live here. And in a follow-up email after this presentation, in addition to my slides and stuff, I'll also be including a curated list of children's titles that feature American Indians and tribes throughout the United States and Canada to just help you learn more. They're just really lovely stories, and to help the children that you work with learn more as well. So thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to be here and talk about the resources that you can use in your programs through the libraries today. And I also really want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing with children and their families during this crazy time that I feel like is constantly changing and looks like no time we've ever experienced before. So thank you for your dedication so much. As Christy said, my name is Jenny. I am the librarian at the Deborah S. Fish Early Childhood Resource Library, which is a special collection focused on the needs and interests of those in the field of early childhood. And our library, which you can see pictured here on my slide, at least a corner of it, it's one of the services offered by Think Small. And if you're coming to this presentation from outside the metro, which I know some of you are, or if you're in the metro and maybe aren't familiar with Think Small, we are an organization that provides services, resources, and advocacy for early childhood education in Minnesota. The library's collection includes resources for early childhood educators, parents of children from birth to 2nd grade, trainers of educators and education students, basically anybody who's working with children like birth to 2nd grade, our resources are for you. Some of the popular topics within our collection include professional development, child development. We have a lot of teaching resources and STEM resources, as well as business resources. We also have a large collection of picture books and story kits. And while the bulk of these are currently in English, we also have collections in Hmong, Somali, Spanish, Vietnamese, Karen, as well as a number of American Indigenous languages. And I'm always working to grow these collections. And I just always want to encourage people that use our library, if there's a title or a topic that you feel is underrepresented or that you're excited about, please let me know. I always want to make sure to have the best things on our shelves. So yeah, I would love to hear from you. In addition, we also offer a lot of parent-aware approved curriculum kits and assessment kits. And these can be an awesome try before you buy option, because I'm sure you all know that curriculum kits are so expensive. So you can check these out from the library, try them out in your program, see if they fit, see if they work the way that you thought they were going to before you actually make the commitment to purchasing them. I will have a contact slide at the end of my presentation, which will include a link to our webpage, and there you can find topic lists, which would include the list of our curriculum kits for you to check out. The specialized nature of the library, as well as the audience that we serve, has enabled it to become the most comprehensive and current collection of resources on early childhood in Minnesota, which is something we're really proud of. We are also a public library. So if you live in Minnesota, you can use our resources. All you need is a public library card, and I can help you get that no matter where you're from, or your local librarian can help you get your library card if you don't have one. We're a branch of the St. Paul Public Library System. But again, anybody can use our resources. A service that I like to highlight, because I found that it's been useful for educators in my community, is taking requests from educators to create custom resource kits. And what this looks like is if an educator were to reach out to me and in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, they are going to be doing dinosaurs with their preschool program. I would put together a kit of like dinosaur books, kits that work well with that topic, or music if we have music that would be fitting, package it all into a single kit and send it to whatever library is most convenient for that patron. Then they can use the resource in their program and drop it off at their library and it'll come back to us. And this hopefully saves a lot of time for educators and having to like look through library catalogs and place requests and hope that they all show up at the right time and in enough time to do the program. And then also, I know that a lot of educators already are overwhelmed with their own libraries in their house because I feel like you guys all love books as much as I do. So anyways, this can just be a helpful resource. If you haven't taken advantage of this either through my library or your own library, I definitely recommend reaching out either to me or to your own librarian. If it's not a service that your library has advertised, it's very likely still something that your librarians do. So I definitely recommend checking in to see if this is something that that you could have for yourself too. And don't be worried either, because I feel like the big reason librarians become librarians is because we love to serve as that link between the questions that patrons have and then helping them find the resources that they need. So feel free to check with your librarian and see if you can have that service. As a librarian with a foot in both early childhood education as well as the public library system, I want to speak with you today about how the library can support your program's work, particularly during this time of social distancing when so many of our public libraries their spaces are closed to the public. I'm a little nervous to go to the next poll, but I do have one more poll.
Should we do it?
Everyone be warned, it may take me, although we did it once, so I think if I just follow the same steps I did last time. Here, let me try exiting out of my spread or my PowerPoint initially and then see if that helps us.
Sure.
So our second poll is, in a pre-COVID world, how often do you use the library? And I want to say there's a lot of people that don't use the library at all, which is totally fine. But if you are one of those people, I just want you to know that public libraries are for everyone. And so if you find that you are not using the library, we are welcome to communicate that with your public library, because we always want to find the services that people are looking for. And we want it to be a space for everybody. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me or your own library. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah.
So we've got quite a few responses still coming through. We've got one participant or a couple participants that say they can't answer the poll, but one said that she does use it weekly or more.
Awesome.
Otherwise, the percentages we're getting, let's see. We've got about 15% weekly, 15% monthly, 30% every 6 months, 10% once a year, and then quite a few, about 30%, that answered I did not use the library.
Oh, that actually makes me even happier that you guys all showed up for a library talk when you're not using the library. This is great. And I feel like there should be a follow-up survey, like after the world has gone back to some semblance of normal, to see if maybe people are using the library more, or maybe people who were using it are using it less. But I'm hopeful that my talk today will help you see that the library has stuff for you to use. So cool. Thanks, Christy. Is it okay for me to click back to my presentation?
Yeah, let me see if I can close the poll. Okay.
Awesome. Oh. I'm sure there's a more streamlined way to do what I'm trying to do, but we're just gonna go with this. Oh, it did it again. Let's give it a second. Okay, sorry guys, I'm gonna go log out and log back in because that worked last time.
Another comment came through. It looks, oh, this will be helpful for the future of answering polls in GoToWebinar. It says,
Yeah.
exit out of full screen mode to answer the poll. It should work. So that's a good note for next time. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes. I
Just a reminder too, if anyone has any questions for Jenny along the way, as you think of them, please go ahead and put them into the question box. We would love to hear from you.
Let's see. Sorry, guys, it's still showing up as a black screen, and I don't know why it's doing that. Let me try it one more time, and otherwise I can just go through it as like the note slides. It won't be as beautiful, but it will get the point across.
Jenny, is it showing up black on your side too?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have to keep messing around with it. I will just go through the PowerPoint in like the draft version, unless someone has another idea, and I'm always open for that.
If you want to start talking, you can. If you are able to send it to me via email, I can open it and see if it works on my end, and I can display it that way. Otherwise, feel free to do whatever you think works best.
Okay. I sent it to Christy actually. Oh wait, Christy, would you mind forwarding it to Nikki? Because I don't know that I have her email readily available.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry guys. So you're in luck that there are no more polls after that one. So yeah, I just want to go through our agenda really quick for today. So first of all, the first part of the presentation is going to be mostly talking about how our library is responding to this pandemic, what's the current state of the library. So I'll answer questions like, how have libraries responded to the pandemic? What do services look like now? How about interlibrary loan? What if I don't have a library card? And then this next one was true for me. I have like a ton of materials checked out from the library, but nothing's open. What do I do with those? We'll go over what's changed and how you can still use the library's physical and online materials, and as well as how you can get a new library card if you don't have one. The second part will be about using library resources remotely. And this section is for everybody, whether or not you have a library card. These are mostly events and that are freely accessible to anybody, anybody at all. Then I'll also be talking about highlighting some resources outside the library. So some of our partner organizations and other groups like within the public sphere, like museums and theaters, who have really stepped up to develop some high quality resources to support educators and families during this crazy time. Yeah, and I actually at the end of the presentation, I'd love to hear from you guys because the list that I have put together is by no means an exhaustive list. There are so many great things out there. We'll spend like a very short amount of time at the end talking about what to expect, and that's simply because I don't know that we really know what to expect yet. But yeah, and then we'll have a few minutes at the end for some Q&A. My hope in this discussion is that you'll find the resources that will be beneficial to you during this time. You'll know what resources are available both through your public library, how you can access them, as well as find a roundup of resources beyond the public library. So now I will be talking a little bit about like how our library is responding to this pandemic. And I'll just give you a little bit of context on that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I am not hearing Jenny's audio anymore. Nikki, are you hearing?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear her. I'm trying, it looks like her audio is turned on. I was just going to show the presentation. I think it's up and everyone can see it now.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you guys hear me now?
Christy, can you hear Jenny now? Or anyone else that's attending, can you hear all of us talking?
Hello, this is Jenny talking, just to see if you guys can hear me. Anything?
Yep, we're getting responses that
Yay!
hear everybody. Christy, looks like you're muted. I can't unmute you.
Ah,
Okay, good. It looks like we're all
awesome.
up. So, and the
Great.
presentation is up too.
Thank you, Nikki. And you can actually go just to the next one if you'd like.
Okay.
So to just give you a little bit of context for what this looked like, beginning about the middle of March, when public and school libraries, they began closing their doors, kind of like when everything else was shutting down as well. The American Library Association issued a statement that encouraged the closures of libraries until the risk from COVID-19 has subsided. And then the Minnesota Library Association quickly reiterated the recommendation and added that it's important for libraries to work with their local leaders on how best to proceed. And so that was the middle of March, and now we are in the middle of June. And libraries are still, by and large, their physical spaces are still closed to the public. As this was happening back in March, librarians realized that just because their spaces were closed, people were still going to need access to the resources and services that they provided. So it sent them scrambling to figure out solutions to serve their community members, despite the buildings themselves being closed. So approximately a few weeks into the closures, we began to see contactless pickup start to become an option at many libraries. And I just want to, I'll probably say this a bunch throughout the presentation, but I'm giving a general overview of how libraries are doing it. And I'll give lots of examples, but you always want to double check with your library to see how that county or even that specific branch is perhaps handling the situation differently. So I've gone through literally every website of all the public libraries in Minnesota, and I can say that like nearly 100% of the libraries offer some version of curbside pickup or contactless pickup. They're like the same thing, just they call them different things. And so what this looks like is you still place holds however you were placing them before. So I know for some people, they're still calling in to place a hold. Otherwise, an email is another way. And by and large, people are placing their holds through the online catalog system. So you can still use your regular way of placing the hold. However, it does look different how each system is handling these. So for St. Paul Public, for example, they have allowed 5 of their library branches to be open for pickup. And within the St. Paul system, you can request an item at a closed branch and have that item sent to one of those 5 approved locations and pick up there. Whereas currently Hennepin County, and this is likely due to their huge geographic span compared to St. Paul, you can request materials for pickup at their approved branches, but the item must be on the shelf at that location. So they're not currently sending materials to different branches within Hennepin County. And again, it looks a little bit different depending on where you're coming from. Typically, also, there are some restricted hours. So what people who do use the library to place holds may be used to is getting an email that lets you know that your item is in. And then you have like 5 to 10 days to stop by and pick up that item. Now there are specific hours, and you will likely coordinate roughly with a librarian about what time you will be picking up your item. So, and the reason for this is because you won't be actually going into the library or interacting with the librarian. The materials will be placed on a table or a cart outside the library for that specified chunk of time to allow you to pick them up, just to keep everybody safe. And I also want to reassure everybody that the materials are being handled in a very safe way. Librarians are following the highest safety protocols with like masks and gloves. Very few staff are actually interacting with the items. And then also like the books are sanitized as it's possible to sanitize them. Returning materials is one area that I've seen the most change in as from the time that the libraries closed and going forward. So when libraries first closed, it seemed like nobody was open for returns. And so like I still have like a huge stack of books from the library waiting to go back. But that is changing over time. Some branches have by and large been open for people to return books. I've noticed like in more of the spaces outside of the metro that libraries have been open for returns. And I just was notified last week that St. Paul was going to be accepting returns again. But the way that libraries handled this issue was forgiving fines for overdue books and then extending checkout periods indefinitely. Just sort of telling people, hold on to your stuff until further notice and until we know more. And the reason for this is that we still didn't have a lot of information about how the virus was, if it could be transmitted on materials like books with lots of people handling them. Now that like branches are opening up to accept returns, you may find that you return items and then there's like a lag of maybe 72 hours before the item's actually off of your account. And that's because, again, to maintain some safety, the books are being quarantined, which I don't know why that's cute to think of books in quarantine, but the books are being quarantined for a period of time before they are put back into the library. What if you don't have a library card? And I think a lot of people probably don't have library cards. I think the system we're most familiar with is you have to show up in person at the library and bring like your driver's license and proof of ID or proof of address to sign up for a library card so they can make sure it's really you. But with COVID-19, libraries wanted to be sure that everybody who didn't have access to the library could get as much access as possible. So now you can apply for a library card online through your library's website, and you will get immediate access to their digital resources. So you can access their databases, their ebooks, audiobooks. Most libraries, if not all, have ancestry.com, which you'd be able to use, and like online newspaper, all like music online, all their online stuff. The digital cards overall do not allow you to check out physical materials, but the digital repositories are pretty big, so there's still a lot there. Some libraries are allowing these digital cards to stand in for a physical card. So you'll sign up for your digital card and then in a certain amount of time, you'll be mailed a real card and be considered like a permanent patron of that library branch. I've seen more in the metro that the digital cards are expiring, set for 30 days after libraries reopen, which hasn't happened yet. And then at that point, those people would need to go to return to the library and sort of apply in the traditional way in person. Another service that a lot of people need the library for is using computers. They don't have internet at home or they need to print materials. And so this was actually a recommendation that came down from the American Library Association, but they recommended that libraries make their internet access as widely available as possible, which means almost, if not all libraries they removed the passwords from their Wi-Fi. They're available 24/7. So if you're in the vicinity of the library and you have access to a laptop or a phone or some other device, you can use the internet. Now, of course, this does not solve a lot of problems because a lot of people don't have laptops. And like a phone isn't always the best or ever the best way to fill out a form, or you may need to print something. So some solutions that libraries came up with to solve those problems is making appointments to allow patrons to come in and use the computers to print items. And you can still feel really safe about doing that because you'll know the equipment that you're using has been sanitized properly. You're not going to be worried about like being too close to other people. So you're able to use the computer for what you need and then safely leave the library. Other ways are like kind of print on demand. So you can request that your library will print an item that you need and then they will have you pick it up, much like they'd have you pick up a hold available outside the library. A very new thing that I've been seeing are hotspots that are available to be checked out. So then you can check out a hotspot and have access to the internet when and where you need it. So the libraries, yeah, they're trying to come up with creative ways to help people use their resources. The next thing I wanted to talk about was MinLink, and you can go to the next slide. I wanted to spend a minute on MinLink because I think it's an amazing resource, and I use it all the time, but I know that it's not always like common knowledge what it is. Minlink.org is an online library catalog, but instead of just searching your regional library, it searches the entire state of Minnesota. So if you live like in Bemidji, but Bemidji doesn't have access to a book you want, you can go to MinLink and maybe Mankato has it, and likely someone in Minnesota will have it. You can request that item and it'll be with your library card, and it will be sent to your library where you can check it out, use it, and then drop it back off at your library. Because of COVID-19, the physical sharing of resources is on hold right now, but there are still so many great electronic resources, and MinLink has actually expanded its offerings because of COVID-19 so that now you can have access to electronic resources from the U of M and other resources without any need for a library card. And especially, I have used this a lot when I need like a journal article that maybe St. Paul Public doesn't have access to. It's maybe like an academic journal or something. I'm almost 100% guaranteed to find it on MinLink. And then I submit the request for that article or that book chapter, and a PDF of that item will be sent to my email. So then you don't have to worry either about any actual like handling of materials. So they're great for right now for their electronic resources. And then I hope that you tuck it away for after coronavirus and after life has gone back to normal a little bit, to use them for their physical items. And I just, I think I mentioned, maybe I mentioned this before, I don't remember if I have, but I really encourage you to subscribe to your library's newsletter, follow their Facebook page, and check out their website, because every library has their own response to COVID-19, and you'll see on their websites that they'll have a dedicated page where it talks about like how you can use their resources during this time. And so yeah, there's just a lot of good resources on there. And Nikki, you can go to the next one. So next, I wanted to talk about using library resources remotely, and this is very much event focused and events for everybody, no matter where in Minnesota you are, regardless of whether you have a library card or not. You can go to the next one. And I think this picture is so cute, but also it looks like it's from a horror film, because look at how close those people are sitting to each other. No masks, no gloves. This is like nothing we would see today. It's like almost makes my heart stop now, but also very nostalgic for a time not that long ago. This is a story time at Brooklyn Library in New York. I wanted to start with talking about story times, because I think story times are frequently a very regular part of people's weekly schedule. Like early ed programs coordinate with their librarians for special story times, or grandparents or parents or caretakers take their children to enjoy the community and the like literacy activities of a story time. And so having those disrupted was just one more difficult thing about this pandemic. You can go to the next one, Nikki. The response that librarians have taken to that is to move their story times online. So while you're still missing the being in the space with other children and parents, this is still a really great way to engage with your community and enjoy a story time. I just wanted to touch on a few examples here. All of the images that I use in my slides, they will be linked at at the end of my presentation, so that if any of these like pique your interest and you want to see the specific event, you can head there and click on those links. So we have Bemidji Public Library up in the left-hand corner. You can enjoy a story time with Ember the dog. The center images are actually both authors. Sarah Warren at the top wrote Beyonce, Shine Your Light, and she does a really engaging story time with Fuzzy Mouse and the triangle here. And that was in collaboration with Ramsey County, and below her is Shaletta Brundage, also reading one of her stories. And they're both just great readers, very engaging. And although we do miss the like in-person interaction so much, and that's so important, in a world when these weren't hosted virtually, you would have to live in Ramsey County or Hennepin County, or at least near there, and be willing to travel in order to enjoy these very special story times from these great authors. Some of the other ones on there, I have a story time from Lake Agassiz and Dakota County, Washington County. They are that bottom right picture, and that's actually a Spanish story time. And so I just wanted to encourage anybody who knows of a family or children who would benefit and enjoy a story time in a different language. In regular times, I know that the Metro libraries, they have Hmong, Spanish, and Karen language story times for sure. And I'm sure there's other ones that are just slipping my mind at the moment. But please feel free to get in touch with me. I would love to do a little bit of digging and find out what story times might be available in different languages. And again, this could be an opportunity to enjoy story time from outside Minnesota if there is a language that maybe isn't that there aren't story times led in that language. We could find some at another library for you. There's a couple that are not featured in my images, but ECRL, which is the East Central Regional Library, they are sharing a weekly campfire story time through Zoom. So this would require signing up ahead of time. But if you live in the region, it's like a big region, you can pick up snacks and supplies from your preferred library ahead of time. And then the day of the event, you get to sing campfire songs, do crafts, and earn nature badges online in this Zoom environment. And then Baudette Library, and I am blanking on what region they are from, but they are offering social distancing story times in outdoor locations. And I'm highlighting them, but there are actually many, many branches throughout Minnesota that are offering these outdoor story times. So check your library and see if there are story times at the park. This can be a little step closer to being like in physical community with each other while still maintaining the safe distance to keep yourself from getting sick. And Nick, you can go to the next one. STEM and art are other very popular events at public libraries that unfortunately we can't enjoy in person currently. But again, a lot of these are moving online to Facebook and YouTube channels. And so this top one that I wanted to call out is from Chaska Public Library. Their branch manager, along with her child, they do really fun episodes where they read a story and then take you through making a snack, like a little cooking show that's relevant to whatever they were reading. And it's just really, really fun. Great River Regional in the middle there, they created a simple greenhouse with found items that's very useful. It can be done by any age, and it's really fun and rewarding. Coming up are like two of my favorites, the Making a Worm Habitat. That's out of Anoka County, and you can, again, attend this event on your, through Facebook, through YouTube. And it's hosted by a librarian, but there are kids that lead the program itself and show you how to make a worm habitat and tell you about worms. And it's just really engaging and fun and a great time of year to do that. The next image with the beautiful bracelet, that is out of Dakota County. They have an episode of art with a naturalist, and I actually did this bracelet this last weekend with my stepdaughter, and now we have a whole jewelry collection of these treasure bracelets. But there are lots of nature activities in this episode. This treasure bracelet, which is taped with beautiful plants and flowers on it. She teaches you how to do a leaf or bark rubbing, as well as a nature mosaic. And I do have to say, as I was putting this together, the thought hit me that I was talking to a lot of educators, and you guys might already know all of these activities, but they were all new and exciting to me. So I hope that some of these benefit you. If you visit Carver County's website, oh, sorry, Nikki, still on the other one. If you visit Carver County's website, you can attend the Brodini Magic Show hosted virtually, as well as a special Bakken Museum Storytime performance. Again, I know that I keep saying this, but I just think it's so cool that no matter where you are in Minnesota, you can have access to these programs right now because we can't be together in our library spaces. So instead of having to show up at these libraries, you can watch them online. So I think there are some little glimmers of happiness in this. The chalk art picture, that's out of Plainview Library, which is part of the Selco system. They prepare family kits that include supplies and ideas for a family game or craft and a service project, as well as a learning activity. And you can just show up and pick up the kit and then have those activities. One of the activities, the one featured here, is sidewalk chalk. and patrons were encouraged to decorate their sidewalks in their neighborhood, to bring smiles to passersby, and also to post these images online to the library's Facebook page, again, to encourage community even while we have to be socially isolated from one another. Wabasha Library has this very cute sun catcher kit where you can, again, pick up the supplies from the library and do the kit in the safety of your own home, and come up with these cute little projects. The last one I wanted to highlight too is Stewartville Library. They did a rock painting activity where you could pick up supplies for this project, and then paint rocks and place them around your neighborhood, just again to create some community outside of your home and outside of the library space, for others to find and just bring a smile to their face. So yeah, there are lots of opportunities to engage in these events, even while we are staying far apart. And Nikki, you can go to the next one. Music and movement is probably a really big thing for people who are parents and educators who are at home with little ones. So Arrowhead Regional Library System, on their Facebook page, they have a collaboration with Shipley Puppets, as well as Old MacDonald Had a Banjo. So you can enjoy those events virtually, watch a fun puppet show, enjoy kids' music with a really engaging performer. Ramsey County, through a collaboration with Learning Tree Yoga, did this fun, I'm sure you can tell which image that is, the woman in downward facing dog, for a moving story time where she does a story and then leads the children through a fun yoga flow. I do need to do a plug for St. Paul Public Library System. They have a great on their website, they have a great page called Little Learners at Home. And they have consolidated all of their early childhood resources, programs, websites they recommend, apps, all that kind of stuff into one place for you to find. And they're regularly updated. So their story times are there. They also have Music Along, which is the middle top picture, where you can enjoy music and instruments as well as a story and learning some sign language. And this is approximately every week, maybe every few weeks, as well as also on this page, there are events in collaboration with Compass to bring Afute, which is a Haitian dance event to children, and those are colorful and beautiful and gives children the opportunity to engage in learning about another culture, and so those are just super fun as well. Other ways that you can get some movement and into your life are through strolling stories or story walks that a lot of branches are doing. That, as you can see, yep, there you go. That bottom middle picture there, that's an example from Wabasha. And so pages from picture books are posted along a designated route. And so you can enjoy a story as you also enjoy a walk in the outdoors. So those are really fun. I know Wabasha is doing it at St. Paul Public, but lots of other branches are doing them as well. Other libraries offer scavenger hunts that start at their library. You pick up a paper with the instructions outside safely, complete the scavenger hunt, and then drop it in a mailbox or whatever to be redeemed for prizes after the fact. So again, some movement and engagement while still staying safe. That last picture on there is actually an older image from 2015, I think, but Hennepin County and St. Paul Public, that's from a Juneteenth celebration. But I know for sure Hennepin County and St. Paul Public are celebrating Juneteenth virtually through Facebook Live. And again, you can attend it no matter where you are in Minnesota. And you can attend live when the event's actually going on. So I know Hennepin's was June 14th, and then there is one tonight, the 16th. I think it's at 6 p.m. And then St. Paul Public is also doing a Juneteenth event on the 19th, which are being celebrated virtually through Facebook Live. And this is just from their event page. It's an all-ages online community event with powerful stories, performances, rhythms, and songs. Juneteenth honors families reuniting just as our ancestors took their freedom and reconnected with lost relatives. And these are intended to bring everyone closer together. And some of the performers that you would be able to see are Voice of Culture Drum and Dance, the Million Artist Movement, Black Storytellers Alliance, Past, Present, so many great performers. So Again, you have access to this no matter where you are. And this event, if you're not familiar with Juneteenth, celebrates the emancipation of the slaves. And I believe it's one of the earliest African-American celebrations, possibly, originating in 1865 in Texas. So it's just a really powerful, amazing community experience that you can enjoy online now. The last one on here is through Ramsey County Library, the Purple Box. This is an event, it's Kiki and Me Hula Story Time with Kanani, who is a renowned hula dancer. I believe she's Japanese, but the dancing she's doing is Hawaiian hula. But this is geared for 6 months to 6 years, so you can even enjoy this with your little babies, all the way up to your kindergartners and probably beyond. So yeah, feel free to go ahead on the next one, Nikki. Thank you. And this next section of the library, I just looked at the time, I probably need to talk faster, is looking at programs that are not libraries, but they partner with the library frequently, or they're just solid organizations that have stepped up to like build resources specifically for this difficult time with coronavirus. So the first one I wanted to highlight is StarNet. STAR in this case stands for Science, Technology, Activities, and Resources for libraries. So this is a website that libraries often turn to develop programming around STEM. However, so much of it is very suitable for a classroom setting. It's a community of library and STEM professionals that work together to strengthen STEAM learning in public libraries nationwide. And the specific link I provide here is to their clearinghouse of STEM activities for pre-K. And there's like such a range of programs or of activities through this clearinghouse. You can filter to find exactly what you're looking for. You can filter by age, by how long the project will take you to complete, by how much the resources are going to cost you, or you could say, I only want to see activities where the resources are likely to be free, and like based on developmental goals or learning goals. So it's just a very solid, awesome website that I highly recommend you check out. And then Nikki, next one. I feel like I need a little ding or something to be like, bing. This is a really fun website, I think, for children and adults alike. Storyline Online, if you're not familiar with it, is a free website where you can be read children's books by actors. So you can find your favorite actor and they can read you a lovely story. And they're just really high quality videos, obviously very great performers, just very, very fun. You can go to the next one, Miss. And then the Minnesota Children's Museum, which I think we're probably, a lot of us are sad, their locations are closed right now because of coronavirus. They, on their website, provide a lot of curated resource lists to help children engage with music, STEM, art, virtual field trips, which have been I feel like such a fun thing that's like had to come out of coronavirus. They also have a very great blog that provides awesome activity ideas and instructions. And so this link will take you right to that early learning page to find all of those resources. And then the next one, Playworks. It's in their regular world outside of coronavirus. They help schools and districts make the most of recess. They focus on safety, engagement, and empowerment. But during this time of isolation, they also offer great free resources for play and movement ideas with tips on how to adapt to different group sizes, ages, ability levels. You could get instructions there, and also discover, like, they'll walk you through like what is the developmental goal and what skills are beneficial to practice ahead of time. You can go to the next one, Miss. Theater Mu is another one. Mu is the Korean pronunciation of the Chinese character for the shaman or artist or warrior who connects the heavens and the earth through the tree of life. And this theater, which is based in the Twin Cities, celebrates and empowers Asian Americans through theater. And in fact, it's the second largest Asian American performing arts company in the nation. So yay, Minnesota. Yay, Theater Mu. Now, of course, with COVID, they do performances for adults as well as children, but they're obviously not able to do their live performances now. So they have really stepped up and developed what they call family explorations. the virtual version of that. So they're hosted every Saturday at 10 a.m. So you can attend live, or you can visit their Facebook page after the fact and watch them. You can see puppet shows, learn how puppets are made, start a band with homemade instruments, or learn about the art of storytelling. It's a really great resource. Next one, Miss. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with Stages Theater. They have developed Beyond the Stage in response to coronavirus, and they include sensory story times, which are geared towards like very young, like babies and toddlers, as well as like going up into preschool, and fun instructional dance videos that are geared towards little ones. And I do want to point out here, I think that we saw the bulk of material being created in response to COVID-19 happening between April and May. And now that shelter in place is sort of like people are sort of slowly getting back into the regular world, some of these resources are not as available as they were. So this link takes you to their curated list of the best of Beyond the Stage. And I think a lot of the reasons for this is that like publisher requirements or just like other copyright issues. So there's still a lot of resources on there, but it's not the full content that they were creating. And you can go to the next one. Illuminatives is another awesome resource. Sorry, I just have to say that I feel like during this time you can like find all these like resources that you maybe wouldn't have like thought of like looking into otherwise. So I think it's kind of great. So Illuminatives has an initiative called Native Education for All. On their website, there's a lot of great educational materials and activities that are developed by Native Americans from different tribes, and they're organized according to age group. So the three that I just pulled out here, there's a much larger catalog of materials, but the three examples I pulled out here are some of their pre-K things. So they include like the curriculum materials, like activity ideas, teaching lessons, and all kinds of stuff. So it's a really I think that's would be a very valuable, cool resource. I only have 3 more, so I'll go fast. St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, they always have a free concert library online, actually, so you can watch a lot of their programming online for free. And since COVID-19, they have developed several new resources for families and educators to support the viewing, to turn these, while viewing the concert itself is very like enjoying a little, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but like engaging, and children will enjoy it. This like adds another level of engagement as well. And then you can go to the next one. The Minneapolis Institute of Art, you can visit their Art from Home page there. They have activity ideas, curriculum materials, hands-on activities, scavenger hunts, activities for guided virtual visits of the museum and their exhibits, as well as high quality videos for creating art with children at home. And if you live relatively nearby, and actually they might be mailing these out too, you can also purchase art kits from the museum in order to do these activities art projects with your children, not in the actual library. The last one to highlight here is Wide Open School. Wide Open School, if you haven't heard of it, it did not even exist. It exists because of coronavirus. So it's 25 plus organizations that came together to like give one location for the most high quality educational materials for children. So like I'm seeing here, and this isn't even the full page, these are just like a few things I pulled out. There's like arts, music, and DIY, social studies, science, and math. There's virtual field trips again. And another thing that's great about Wide Open School is that the acknowledgement that there are so many millions of children that do not have broadband internet access or computers. And so everything I just talked about, there's so many children don't have access to these within their homes. And so this website also provides ways to connect families to the resources that they need to help make sure their children have access in their homes during this time. And they also offer a lot of bilingual and English language learner resources. So I feel like I did that last part really fast, but before we do the questions, I do just briefly, I realized I didn't make a slide for this, but we're not really sure where things are going with libraries right now. I'm sure that you will continue to see new resources being made available through Facebook, through their YouTube channels and their websites. And things are slowly starting to open up. Like I do know that just recently some libraries have opened by appointment only, or they're operating much like grocery stores where they're allowing a certain number of people in the shop in the library at a time. And then you have to stand in a safe distance in line outside. But it's sort of just getting figured out as we go along and trying to figure out like what our communities need. If I also want to say, if anybody has questions that they want to if they have any resources that you want to share that I didn't touch on, I would love to be able to include that in like whatever follow-up materials we send out, because I know that was not an exhaustive list. There are so many things available. And I also wanted to say that in addition to the American Indian resources that I will be sending out as a follow-up, I also I will be sending out some anti-racist resources as well, developmentally appropriate, and just because I feel like it'd be a missed opportunity at this point. So I will be sending that out in addition. Oh, actually, will you go to the next one, Miss Nikki? This last slide is all my contact info. So email me, call me when we reopen, come by the library and see me. If you have any questions at all or have like anything you want to share, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk to patrons and get ideas. But yeah, that's sort of the whole thing. I would be happy to, I know that we're over time now, so I don't know if there's time for questions, but if there is, I totally would love to take questions.
Thank you, Jenny, so much for, these are just amazing resources, and I'm super happy to delve into them a little bit deeper myself. So first, thank you so much for this, and we'll make sure everybody gets the presentation with all the links. There were a couple just comments about people using the library service, and just really happy to see this information being presented. Someone did have a question about if you can't remember the PIN on your library card, can you reset that online, or how do you go about doing that?
Weirdly enough, that differs from like county library to county library. I do believe that there should be an option on the website to reset the PIN, but if not, I think they're allowing people to reset them over the phone now. Because I do know that, I don't know if it was Hennepin or St. Paul in the past, you had to actually like be with a face to face with the librarian for like privacy concerns, but I think they're sort of being more understanding of needing to reset that. So I would check your library's website and see if there's that option to reset. If not, I would just call the branch and do the request that way. And it's all just for privacy concerns. We want to make sure that people are, their information is staying private.
Great, thank you. That answered that person's question. So thank you so much. There weren't any other additional questions, and I want to just be respectful of your time and everyone else's. So any last comments or things like that you want to make before we close out? And Christy, if there's anything else that you want to add, go ahead and chime in too. Okay, I think that we're good. Jenny, did you have anything else? Or
I didn't. I just want to thank you all for being here, and I hope that this was helpful, and I wish you the best of luck through this very strange time that we're in right now.
Great, awesome. Thanks again for the resources. Everyone that's on, please watch for the follow-up email, and please respond with any suggestions you have for future TEL Talks or additional resources to go along with this one. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.